then it'll be libertarian, and we can sweep the country. So it all depends really on whether I'm successful in a town of 10,000 people to create prosperity for the town. If that happens, I think we can win the election. So that's pretty highly leveraged, but very doable.
Okay, Bill?
Yeah, I plan on campaigning in all 50 states. As far as I'm going to get the media to pay attention, the media is paying attention right now. They'll have no choice. The economy will continue to spiral downwards. This economy is in a death spiral that no amount of either austerity or stimulus is going to be able to fix that. So as the year goes on, the next 12 months go on, it's going to become even more apparent. The demonstrations are going to get it even larger. And I would base it on this quote that I didn't get to say before. And that is, this is Gouverneur Morris, one of the primary authors of the Constitution. This encapsulates what I think the Libertarian Party should focus in the next year on. The rich will strive to establish their dominion and enslave the rest. They always did, they always will. They will have the same effect here as elsewhere if we do not, by the power of government, keep them in their proper spheres. That's not saying that we're going to take the money from the rich. That means they have to be in their proper spheres. And according to William Jennings Bryan, that means that banks should get out of the government business. And that's exactly the problem we have today. Banks are in the government business.
As far as strategy for the media, we already have in place a project we've been working on for about a month now. We had some generous donations from some of our donors from Georgia, who began a matching donation program. We're in the process of creating some television and radio ads, 30-second spots, that will be for our campaign, but the last 10 seconds of them are going to be generic enough so that any candidate running for an appropriate office who wants to use these vehicles that we create will have the last 10 seconds available to them. They can customize it and put it into their campaign. So we're going to be able to offer this to all candidates at all levels throughout the Libertarian Party. I'm pretty excited about that. Will we campaign in all 50 states? We already are. Thanks to the internet, we are able to run our campaigns in all 50 states. All of us have sent our message out across this country. I've seen all of our names on all the lists that I'm on. I mean, I've worked pretty hard. So yeah, we're going to campaign in all 50 states. We're already doing it. And be glad that you have a group of men sitting in front of you now willing to act as your ambassadors to the world and carry a libertarian message. We don't have a libertarian message, folks. We have a message for America. Stopping the wars for everybody. It's not just for libertarians, it's for everybody. It's going to be a good message.
All right. Along similar lines, responding to controversy, you will be, by the way, this is a 75-second answer, a little bit shorter. Yeah, trying to get around you in a short time. So you will be accused, and I guess for RJ, you'll be the first one to answer this. You will be accused of trying to get kids hooked on drugs, inviting terrorists to destroy us, helping the rich, and trying to kill seniors and how would you respond to those and other inflammatory attacks?
Well, that's to point out the obvious that if more stimulus, more deficit spending that's totaled up to now $15 trillion was the answer, if the government husbanding of those resources was the answer, then we would have nothing but prosperity today and nobody would be hungry and nobody would be homeless. But that's obviously not true. I mean, that's obviously not what's happening. You know, and I will respond to those questions by pointing out that, you know, we look at private charity, and if private charity was to waste our resources to the tune of $15 trillion, we could stop giving to that private charity and give it to another charity. But you can't do that with your tax money. You know, you're practically a gun is held to your head, and you have to give your taxes, or else you're going to go to jail. And then, if those resources are misspent, well then, tough. You know, what are you going to do about it? So the libertarian philosophy does have an answer, and for social services. It's called private charity, and it's also covered by the 10th Amendment, which the Constitution does not allow for, you know, welfares to be paid out at the federal level, but it does allow at the state level. So the states need to be setting up, working with their citizenry, and finding out where that happy medium is, what levels of government are sustainable and which ones are not.
We have too much government involvement of our lives, regulating us, putting us in jail because of the things that we do with our body, and all of that really should be stopped. The cost is enormous. We break up families, we have a criminal process, private jails. There's a lot of things that can be eliminated and should be eliminated, and 50% of the people in jail today should be thrown out of jail and allow them to do something constructive. So I'd like to, that's the criticism, that's how I would respond to the criticism, that we need to have less government involvement, save that money, reduce our debt, and have a sustainable economy.
I just make the argument with logic. I mean, for example, on the hooked on drugs thing, the criminalization of marijuana is, and well, let's just talk about marijuana right now, is doing nothing but empowering the narcos south of the border with billions of dollars. And it's not only creating a problem now, but the problem is just going to magnify as the years go on. That I see absolutely no logic whatsoever in this. Nothing I can sell to the American people. As far as Social Security goes, or the welfare state, or whatever, I think you have to differentiate Social Security from welfare. And although you might not like this message, I don't think I can entirely agree with completely eliminating Social Security, if for no other reason than for a practical political purpose. And that they don't call Social Security the third rail of politics for no reason. So I haven't developed a policy on this, but I think we've got to tread very lightly there. About all time.
Please.
So what would I know about responding to inflammatory remarks? We just got to be more clever about things. The two things that spring the closest to my mind are the war on drugs and the waste of those syndrome. Mr. Steele points out eloquently how regulation causes a larger problem. Libertarians don't want drugs decriminalized, so your children could be on drugs, your children on drugs now, and they're on prescription drugs, folks. That's the worst problem we have in this drug problem we got in this country. Prescription drugs. You're taking them out of the medicine cabinet, not buying on your streets. The problem is that you've taken a couple of pretty small, insignificant plants that are cheap and easy to produce and turned them into an extravagant, wealthy, something worth more than gold. Waste of vote syndrome, I've taken up to saying recently, if somebody says, well, I'd like to vote for you, but you just don't have a chance to win. We need to start telling people, if you don't vote for libertarians, you don't stand a chance to win.
Well, they just gave us a kind of invitation for 40-minute answers, but not the time to do it. I'll tackle the first one, drugs, is that 80 some odd years ago, this country recognized in order to outlaw a substance, it took a constitutional amendment. How come it doesn't take that anymore? How come they can just put anything on the list they want to? Where are we? We should be back with that. And students I've talked to when my daughter was in high school, it's easier for them to get a baggie of marijuana than it is to get a six-pack of beer. So where are we going on this? Just prohibition doesn't work, it never has worked, it never will work. Why are we doing it? And she just, do we have carryover seconds? Carryover 30 seconds?
Unfortunately. You want to get 30 seconds?
I just want to make that very good math.
I want to see how good he is at that answer.
Okay, are you done?
Oh, yes. I'm sorry.
No, that's all right. Ron Paul has been mentioned. Arguably, Ron Paul has done more to popularize libertarianism than any other politician. And yet, many libertarians consider him a political traitor for being a Republican. What would be your approach, starting with you, Carl, what would be your approach to running if Dr. Paul did get the Republican nomination?
Well,
This is a 60 section.
I've discussed this issue with a lot of people to see if there's any consensus of what should be done. Legally, Ron Paul, if he, let's say, wins the nomination, he can't expect us to just hand the nomination over to him because we've already nominated somebody. So I'm against trying to give the nomination to him in any way if he is nominated and if I am also nominated. But I'm cooperating with him. I gave him my idea, the first 3 are free, and I'm trying to use him to be able to put some of our ideas into the mainstream because the main media doesn't do it through libertarians, but maybe we can do it through Ron Paul.
I met with Dr. Paul on one occasion and tried to get him to set up a meeting so we could work out whatever differences we had. I agree with just about everything the guy says except for the gold standard issue. And so I'd have to run against him on that. But other than that, that would be a tough road to hoe.
Lee?
I think it'd be a great thing for Ron Paul to get the Republican nomination and he'd have a Libertarian nomination, and then America have a true choice about liberty and freedom in this country in the next ballot election. People can't vote for liberty and freedom in this country. The Libertarians know all about. Republicans and Democrats have proven to us, time and time again, if you're interested in those two things, you're not going to get what you vote for. I applaud Ron Paul. Nobody needs to preach to Ron Paul about how to be a libertarian or libertarian principles. He's chosen the cloak that he's going to wear. I don't hold that against him. I wish him well. This is our party. This is our nomination. And it doesn't hurt to have an extra voice in the fray for liberty and freedom. There's not enough voices in there now. Our friends in Arizona are right. Freedom is the answer. Now what's the question?
Well, I certainly would hope that Ron Paul could get the nomination. I don't think he has any chance at all at it, but boy, he's done a marvelous job of running. And he's brought tremendous libertarian message on the economic issues. But I think he's not quite libertarian on the social issues. So if he and I were both on the same ballot, I would probably stress the social libertarian answers rather than just strictly economic. Oh, I got another 30 seconds. Carry over to the next one.
RJ?
Well, I'm here to represent our party, the Libertarian Party, and I'm going to run strong as a Libertarian Party candidate all the way through 2012 if nominated and beyond in other ways and other venues, regardless of who the GOP primary nominee is. That being said, I think it's very clear and obvious what the Republican Party is setting up to do to Ron Paul and their attempts to marginalize him and eliminate him from the process. And it is very much incumbent upon this party, and I have put it onto the responsibility of my campaign, that we be ready and in position come the middle to the end of January, so that way a libertarian from this party can pick up the banner of freedom and move forward after the Republican Party does what we all know that it's going to do.